The final cut is a masterpiece, but the first draft is a war zone. This is between the frames. Think of The Shining. What comes to mind? The Overlook Hotel, an immense, isolated monument to dread. The snow-covered maze, a labyrinth of madness. Jack Nicholson's wild eyes peering through a splintered door, bellowing, "Here's Johnny," and then the end. That impossibly slow, deliberate zoom onto a black and white photograph hanging in the hotel's gold room. A photo dated July 4th, 1921. And right there, front and center, smiling among the ghostly parts, the screen cuts to black, the credits roll. It's one of the most chilling, debated, and downright iconic endings in all of film history. It feels so perfect, so inevitably mysterious, enigmatic capstone to Stanley Kubrick's cold and terrifying nightmare. But that ending wasn't the plan. In fact, the version of The Shining that Kubrick himself locked, finished, and shipped to theaters for its premiere in May of 1980 was a different movie. A movie that ended not with a haunting question, but with a tidy explanation. And that explanation nearly ruined everything. To understand how the masterpiece was saved, we have to look at the original cut that almost was, after a notoriously grueling 30-month shoot of production that has become the stuff of legend for its intensity. Kubrick and his editor, the brilliant Ray Lovejoy, finally assembled their film. In this first version, the horror didn't end with Jack frozen in the maze and Wendy and Danny escaping into the dawn. No, the film continued. It cut to a hospital scene, an epilogue designed to bring the audience back to reality. Imagine this. Wendy Torrance is recovering in a hospital bed. She's safe, but traumatized. Stuart Elman, the hotel manager who hired Jack in the first place, pays her a visit. He's all smooth reassurance, telling her that the police investigated the Overlook and found nothing out of the ordinary. No ghosts, no ghouls, just a tragic case of cabin fever. He hands her a newspaper, the headline screaming about the tragedy. He even throws Jack's yellow ball to Danny, the same ball that mysteriously rolled to him in the hotel hallway, a final unsettling detail. In a later version of this scene, a doctor would step in, offering a comforting, logical diagnosis. The extreme isolation, the pressure, and the hotel's violent history had likely triggered a shared psychotic episode. The horror, essentially, was all in their heads. This was Kubrick's intended resolution. He wanted to tie up all the supernatural ambiguity with a neat bow of psychological realism, grounding the terror in something clinical and understandable. So, what happened? What was the pivotal mechanism that steered this cinematic ship away from the rocks and into the history books? A single test screening on March 29th, 1980 in Chicago, just weeks before the film's scheduled premiere. Kubrick did something he famously disliked. He showed his work to a regular audience. The lights came up, and the reaction was not what he expected. People weren't scared or thrilled, they were confused, and worse, they were disappointed. That hospital epilogue, designed to provide closure, did the opposite. It deflated all the tension that had been meticulously built over 2.5 hours. It felt like a cop-out, a last-minute betrayal of the supernatural dread that permeated every frame of the film. It took this grand, ambiguous horror and shrank it down to a simple case study. The mystery was gone. Panic set in. With the May 23rd release date looming, Kubrick was facing a potential critical and commercial disaster. This was Kubrick in crisis mode. But this is also where the myth of the obsessive, unyielding genius meets the reality of the pragmatic filmmaker. He had a vision, but he listened to the audience's response. He understood that the feeling the film left you with was more important than the explanation he had crafted. So he and his editor, Ray Lovejoy, went to work performing surgical edits with incredible speed and precision. First, and most dramatically, they removed the entire hospital epilogue. 2 to 3 minutes of footage. Gone. Just like that, the easy answer was deleted from history. But they didn't just cut. They made a brilliant choice to reorder the final moments. Originally, the shot of Dick Halloran's corpse lying in the hotel lobby after his axe wound appeared earlier. They moved it, placing it right after we see Wendy and Danny escape in the snow. This change was crucial. Now, their escape isn't just a moment of relief. It's immediately undercut by a stark reminder of the hotel's lethal power. The evil is real, and it has a body count. The Overlook won. Finally, they focused on the photograph. They extended the shot, slowing down that final, unnerving zoom. They made it the absolute final image of the film. The abrupt cut from Jack's frozen, screaming face in amaze to his smiling, dapper face in the 1921 photo became the new ending. No explanation, no comfort, just a terrifying, unanswerable question. Was Jack Torrance a victim of the hotel, or was he always a part of its evil? Had he been there all along? This newfound ambiguity became the film's greatest strength, its lasting power. This last-minute edit didn't just salvage a potentially flawed movie. It completely defined its legacy. The change shifted The Shining from a psychological thriller with a logical conclusion to a supernatural puzzle with infinite interpretations. It's the reason we're still talking about it today. It's the engine that has launched decades of fan theories about the moon landing, the genocide of Native Americans, the Holocaust. The film became a maze itself, and that final photograph is the unsolvable riddle at its center. This story is often used as proof of Kubrick's obsessive perfectionism, but I think it shows something more interesting. His pragmatism. A lesser director might have stubbornly stuck to their vision, insisting that the audience just didn't get it. But Kubrick was willing to dismantle his own intended ending to serve the film's ultimate impact. He was willing to kill his darlings. And we can't forget the unsung hero in all of this, editor Ray Lovejoy. This recut is a masterclass in pacing, in rhythm, and in understanding how removing information can amplify dread. The legacy of this choice is a principle I call the power of omission. Kubrick and Lovejoy proved that what you don't show, what you refuse to explain, is often far more terrifying and memorable than what you do. For anyone creating anything, the lesson is profound. Test your work, listen to the reaction, and have the courage to remove even good material if it strengthens the whole. The most iconic moment in one of Cinema S's greatest horror films exists not because of something that was added, but because of something that was taken away at the last possible minute. So what do you think? What other film do you believe was saved by a crucial last-minute edit? Let me know your pick in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Between the Frames.